Welcome to Big Idea Hardly, where you can learn something new in just a few minutes. Today we study together Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance, in which we probe into understanding the complexity of upward mobility amidst cultural and economic decay. J.D. Vance grew up in the Rust Belt city of Middletown, Ohio, and the Appalachian town of Jackson, Kentucky. He enlisted in the Marine Corps after high school and served in Iraq. Don't go away. Hurdley, the editor, will be right back with the story. The journey of upward mobility, especially for those entrenched in a culture of poverty and limited opportunities, is fraught with complexities. In the story presented, we see a vivid portrayal of how deeply rooted cultural and familial ties can both uplift and impede progress. This tension between aspiration and tradition forms the crux of the challenges faced by individuals like J.D. Vance, as they navigate the difficult path from a life of hardship to one of success and stability. One of the central themes in this discussion is the idea that cultural values, while providing a sense of identity and belonging, can also act as chains that hold individuals back from achieving their full potential. The concept of hillbilly justice, where loyalty and honor are paramount, often leads to a resistance to change or external influence. This resistance can manifest in various ways, including a reluctance to pursue higher education, relocate for better job opportunities, or break away from detrimental familial relationships. Story 1. The struggle with identity and the weight of family expectations. J.D. Vance recounts how his grandmother, Mama, was a fierce protector of the family's honor to the point where she almost committed murder to defend it. This extreme sense of loyalty and protectionism, while admirable in some respects, also illustrates the danger of being too rooted in a single identity. Vance explains how his grandmother's influence was both a source of strength and a barrier to embracing new opportunities. The story of Mama threatening a would-be thief with a rifle is particularly striking. Mama raised the business end of her rifle to the man's head and prepared to finish the job. This instance is emblematic of the fierce, almost tribal sense of loyalty and justice that governed Vance's upbringing. While this environment instilled in him a deep sense of family loyalty and personal strength, it also made it difficult for him to fully break free and pursue a different life path. The weight of family expectations and the fear of being seen as too big for your britches made the idea of leaving his hometown or pursuing higher education seem almost like an act of betrayal. Story 2. The economic realities and cultural stagnation. Another key point explored is the impact of economic decline on cultural attitudes and behaviors. Vance describes the pervasive sense of hopelessness that afflicts his community, particularly among working-class whites who have seen their economic opportunities dwindle over the years. This despair often leads to self-destructive behaviors, such as substance abuse, which in turn perpetuates the cycle of poverty and stagnation. A poignant example from the book is the story of Bob, a young man who worked alongside Vance at a tile warehouse. Despite having a steady job with good pay, Bob displayed a shocking lack of motivation and responsibility, missing work frequently and showing up late. His girlfriend, who was also employed at the warehouse, was similarly unreliable. Eventually, both were fired, and Bob's reaction was one of anger and self-pity rather than self-reflection. "How could you do this to me? Don't you know I've got a pregnant girlfriend?" This story illustrates how the combination of economic hardship and cultural attitudes can lead to a sense of helplessness and entitlement, making it difficult for individuals to take control of their lives and improve their circumstances. Story 3. The double-edged sword of familial loyalty. Familial loyalty, a recurring theme in the narrative, is both a source of support and a potential hindrance to personal growth. Vance's relationship with his family, particularly his grandparents, is central to his story of upward mobility. However, this loyalty comes with its own set of challenges, as it often means staying connected to a community and culture that is resistant to change. One story that captures this dynamic is Vance's account of his time in Middletown, Ohio. Despite the new environment and opportunities, the cultural habits and attitudes of his family remain deeply ingrained. His grandfather, Papa, was a hard-working man who believed in the American dream, yet he struggled with alcoholism and the destructive behaviors it brought out. Vance recalls a particularly harrowing incident where his grandfather, in a drunken rage, threw the family Christmas tree out the back door because dinner wasn't ready when he came home. He picked up the family Christmas tree and threw it out the back door, Vance recounts. This act of violence was not just about anger but was also a reflection of the deep frustrations and unaddressed pain that permeated the family's life. These stories collectively illustrate the complex interplay between cultural values and economic realities, and how these forces can either propel or hinder upward mobility. Vance's journey is a testament to the resilience required to overcome such obstacles, but it also highlights the difficulty of escaping a culture that is both a source of identity and a potential barrier to progress. As the editor of Hardly, understanding these challenges allows us to see that breaking the cycle of poverty and stagnation requires more than just individual effort. It demands a cultural shift that embraces change and encourages personal growth, even if it means letting go of long-held traditions. In revisiting the complexities of upward mobility amidst cultural and economic decay, it's clear that the journey is fraught with challenges that are deeply rooted in the very fabric of one's upbringing. The stories from Vance's life illustrate how cultural values and economic realities intertwine to create both obstacles and motivations for those striving to achieve the American dream. The powerful influence of family loyalty and the weight of cultural identity can serve as both anchors and lifelines, depending on how they are navigated. One particularly poignant story is that of Vance's mother, who, despite her potential and intelligence, was caught in the cycle of addiction and instability. After numerous failed attempts to break free from her destructive behaviors, she once drove JD on a terrifying high-speed chase through the streets, threatening to kill them both. She screamed, "I'm going to crash this car and kill us both," as she swerved wildly down the road. This moment of chaos and fear encapsulates the desperation and turmoil that often accompany lives marked by economic struggle and cultural stagnation. Ultimately, the lessons drawn from these stories emphasize that breaking free from the past requires more than just willpower. It demands a conscious effort to reshape one's environment, mindset, and relationships. As the editor of Hardly, by learning from these narratives, we can understand that true progress often requires not only confronting our past, but also imagining a future that breaks from the familiar patterns that have long held us back.